Alright, so first of all, in scalar vectors, we would like to write the definition of scalar and a vector. Scalar is basically a quantity with only a magnitude. Vector is a quantity with a magnitude and a direction. Now, scalars can be listed down, so let's list them. So you got distance, you got time, speed, you got energy, power is a scalar, and work, temperature, even pressure is scalar. Then you got the current, that's also scalar. You got resistance, it's a scalar. You got voltage, that is also scalar, and there are others as well, but you can just use these. Then vectors are displacement, velocity, acceleration, force, moment, which is the turning effect, momentum. These are all vectors. Okay, Burhan?
Okay, sir.
Now, so basically, when you see a vector, you should remember that it would always be an arrow where the arrow length basically tells you about the magnitude. So higher the magnitude, it means higher the length, and this tells you about the direction of the vector, the arrowhead. Now, generally, we would like to know, we would actually see that we try to follow a convention that this is north, this is south, this is east, and this is west. Just to be on the same page for all of the work that we're gonna do. The thing is that, let's suppose they say you got to draw two vectors from the same point, and that is when you got to draw, say, 3 newtons to south and 5 newtons to, say, west. So basically, when you draw 3, suppose you give it this length, So the 5, it automatically will be a longer vector towards the south. Is it clear?
But didn't you flip them? Shouldn't the 3 newtons be like downward south?
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. Okay, I need to then rescale it too. Okay, 5, 3, right? All right. Okay, now, so then when you go to solving the actual vectors, so even in Edexcel we got to learn the 3 different methods. So you got to know about the parallelogram, you can know about the vector triangle, and you also need to know about the resolution. Hello? Walaikum salam. 7 बजे 7 हाँ, लेकिन 7 बजे एडिक्सल है, फ्राइडे, थर्सडे, फ्राइडे, सैटरडे. Okay, so the parallelogram method is only graphical. The vector triangle is only, it is basically graphical as well as analytical. And the resolution is only analytical. Now, because Burhan, this takes more time to draw parallelograms, so we're going to completely skip this in Edexcel, because the only difference between Edexcel and CI is the CI can restrict to 1, but Edexcel doesn't restrict to anything. Okay, so you can basically use anything. Okay, so we're gonna do this one, and then we're going to do this one. So that's even better, right? Now, so for that matter of fact, we are going to learn about case 1, when 2 vectors are parallel and in the same direction. If 2 vectors are parallel, it means that suppose say 10 newtons and 5 newtons, so the resultant would be 5 plus 10, which is 15, and we can write it towards the right. Or what we can do is we can say, okay, if I take right as positive and left as negative, so all the vectors towards the right will be positive. So, or you can simply write that plus 5 and plus 10 is equal to plus 15. So it automatically means this positive sign shows direction to the right. Is it clear? Now, this would actually mean that or do towards case 2, which is basically 2 or more vectors parallel and opposite. basically suppose there is a 10 Newton on this side and 5 Newton on this side. So then either you can do it like resultant equals to 10 minus 5, and the bigger one is 10, so resultant has to be on that side, so it could be to right. Or you could just simply take the direction. So this time, for just a change, if you take minus here and positive here, it does not really matter what you do, but if you take right as negative, then you have to take left as positive. Okay, so this would make this as negative and this as positive. So when you find the resultant, you write plus 5 minus 10. It gives you basically minus 5. So minus already indicates that resultant is towards right. Is it clear?
Sir, so the key you drew for like the positive, like left is positive, right is negative. Like we can decide this on our own in the exam, right?
Yeah.
Like we can make right positive.
Because it does not really affect the answer, right? But you gotta basically make the key in the question as well, so that the examiner knows what you're doing, right?
Yes.
Interesting. Now, suppose you have now case 3, vector at an angle. So what it means is that suppose this is the vector, you have 10 Newton.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam. Safir, why are you so late?
I'm really sorry, sir. My class just ended like around 20 minutes ago, and then I had a lot of work in my house to do, helping out in the kitchen and stuff. So I had completely forgotten that we were having class.
Okay. So basically, you have 10 newtons on the right and 40 degrees of 5 newtons on, like there. Okay. So to do this sort of vector, you can use, first we're going to check out the graphical method of vector triangle. Okay, so for the graphical method of vector triangle, the first step is always you take a scale. And right now, because these are small ones, so I can just take 1 centimeter equals to 1 Newton. Okay, let's take that scale. And then what you're gonna do is, let's see, using a ruler, that what happens. So you can pick any vector of your choice. You can say, okay, the easiest one is always the vertical or horizontal, so I'm gonna use that, put it here. So I'm gonna 1 centimeter equals to 1 Newton means that I have to draw 10 centimeter for 10 Newtons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Do you guys understand this? So once I've drawn this, I'll put the arrows. So this is basically 10 centimeter. The next vector is 40 degrees at, and it is 5 newtons at 40 degrees. So I'm gonna put my protractor. I'm gonna measure 40 degrees from the protractor. Okay, so your protractor would be different because it would be like a rounded thing, so it's fine. And then I'm gonna continue this line for 5 centimeters. So this is 2, 3, 4 and 5. Do you guys understand this?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I started doing parallelogram. Completely mind checked. Okay, so then what you do is you draw a head to tail rule. Okay, what is head to tail rule? Basically what you do is, head to tail rule means that the head of the first vector must be connected to the tail of the second vector. So the second vector was 40 degrees, so I'm going to put the protractor measure 40 degrees from the head, and then I'm going to continue this for 5 centimeter. 1 2 3 4 5. Now if you check this, this is basically 5 centimeter, and this angle I measured it with protractor, that was 40 degrees. Do you guys understand this?
Yes.
Then what you do is you basically connect from the start to the end. So start to the end would mean that basically you put your ruler. So this is basically our start where we put our pen, and this is where the end is. So I'm gonna make the resultant such that it shows me start to the end. So just like this. Do you guys understand? So this would be my resultant. Any questions?
No, sir.
Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the resultant length. So right now, according to this digital scale, it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 and 14.3. So the resultant is 14.3 centimeter. Because my scale was 1 centimeter to 1 newton, it would mean that it is also 14.3 newtons. Is it clear? And then I'm gonna take the angle. So I want this angle. Yes. नहीं, उसमें IGCSE चल रही है ना, एडवांस. So if you rotate the scale, so you would see it's basically about like 13 degrees. So this is the 13-degree angle. Is it clear? So basically our resultant we found was 14.3 newtons and the angle was 13 degrees. Any questions now? You guys understand everything?
Yes.
Okay. So then what you're going to do, so this is basically the vector triangle of when you do it like in a method like that. Anyhow, now we're gonna continue with the other method. So I did it on the page, okay, that I deleted for some reason, but it's fine. I'll draw it again just randomly, but you can, I guess you guys have learned it. So this is 14.3 centimeter, that is the resultant in this direction, and this is 13. Now the other method to do this is the analytical method. Of vector triangle. So basically this does not need any proper drawing. You can just sketch it, but you need to sketch it because our question suggested that it was like 10 newtons on this side, 5 newtons on this side, and this was 40 degrees. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now just by hand you can draw any vector. So you can say, okay, I'm gonna draw 10. So 10 should look like the same, and then I'm gonna connect the 5 at 40 degrees from the head. This is 5 and it should be 40 degrees, and we know that the resultant should be from the start to the end. So this is the resultant, right? Now what you're gonna do is you got to remember two formulas. One is the cosine rule. Cosine rule suggests that in a triangle, sorry, let me make a bigger triangle actually. In a triangle, if this side is basically A, B, C, so this angle is capital C, this angle is capital B, this angle is capital A, right? So according to cosine rule, C square would be equal to A square plus B square minus 2 times A and B and cosine of C, the opposite angle. Do you understand?
Yes.
And the sine rule suggests that sine of A would be equal to sine of A over A will be equal to sine of B over B and sine of C over C. Now, so what you're going to do is, you see that here, if this is 40 degrees, the total angle will be 180. That means this angle is going to be 180 minus 40. That makes it 140 degrees. Do you agree?
Yes.
Now we have the two sides and then the center angle, so we can find r. So we're going to use cosine rule. So r square equals to 10 square plus 5 square minus 2 times 10 times 5 and cosine of 140 degree. Okay, we're going to use the calculator to find its value, and this is going to be 10 square plus 5 square minus 2 times 10 times 5 times cos of 140. Oh, what did I do here? Made a mistake, really. And then I'm going to take the root of it to find r, so I get r to be 14.2 newtons. This is the exact value, but with the drawing there is a little bit change, and they always give you the room for it. Is it clear, everybody?
Yes. So which one should we use? Which method?
It's basically, it's not really I would always use the analytical method because it's faster and less, complicated in that sense. Do you understand?
Yes.
Ariba?
Assalamualaikum sir.
Walaikum salam. Ariba, what is this?
Sorry sir, the internet wasn't working well and my guest was over, so
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Ariba, you got to be very, very punctual with this class because I'm very punctual and I'm very strict with this too. Okay? Alright.
Okay,
Now,
I'm sorry.
so we have just covered one section. You will receive the recording on the Google Classroom. You got to look at that. Okay?
Okay.
As well. Now keep sitting and see what we're doing, and you'll probably understand. Okay, now, so to find this angle that we basically are looking for, this angle, we need to use the sine rule. And for the sine rule, we should do sine, because this was 5 newtons, so we want to the angle, we want to find the angle opposite of it. So sine theta over 5 will be equal to, the value of r was basically sine of 140 divided by r we just found out to be 14.2, and then we got to do solve this. So sine theta is going to be sine of 140 times 5 divided by 14.2, and that's going to be 0.2263. So theta, you got to take sine inverse. So shift sine answer is going to give us exactly 13.1 degree, which is the same as the one we did, right? We got 13 and we got 31. So it basically doesn't really matter what you use, it will be accepted anyway. Do you guys understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so just hold on. Now I'm going to, alright, I just want to tell you that every time the meeting ends, because right now we have 7 more minutes left for the meeting, the link to my class is static, which means you can rejoin the link anytime you want to. Is it clear, everybody?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes sir.
alright. So you have to rejoin the same link, just click it, and that is fine. Now let's try to solve a question from your paper actually. I'm copying, just wait. Yeah, I also need to zoom it a bit. No, not too much. Okay. Okay, it will be here just in a moment. Okay, so this question says that there is some, masses hanging from midpoint of a washing line, as you can see, right? Which has basically caused the washing line to basically be like this. So it says, add to the diagram, show forces acting on the midpoint. So whenever something is pulled, so this causes a tension force here, this also causes a tension force here. Do you guys understand this?
Yes.
And the tension is caused because the weight is basically acting downwards. Alright, and basically weight is equal to mg, and they have said, okay, we want to find the mass. The mass is given and you want to show that the vertical force is this. This is basically the O-level question. You can just use mass times gravity. The mass is 1.10 and 9.81, so that's gonna be something like 1.1 times 9.81, so that makes it 10.791, which is basically about 11 newtons. Do you guys understand this?
Yes.
Okay, now they say, okay, this basically the question will be like a bit tricky. Let me just copy the other parts as well quickly, so you guys should understand what type of things will be there. Okay, now the next part, it says this force pulls the midpoint down a distance of 48.5 centimeters. Show that the line is at angle 84 degrees to the vertical, and length is also given. So let me now draw this. So basically, if you look at this line that they have shown, right, they say that with the initially it was like a horizontal line, so with that it is being pulled to a distance of 48.5 centimeter. Do you guys understand this? Also, they say that the length of the line is 9.6 meter, because it was hung from the midpoint. That would mean that this length and this length would be half of 9.6, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 9.6 divided by 2. So this is 4.8 meters and this is also 4.8 meters. Do you understand, Ariba?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now what they want us to find is, they want us to find that the angle is about 84 degrees to the vertical, which means we want to find this angle. Understood? Now this basically makes, we can take out the triangle, we can see that this triangle looks like basically this, where this is 48.5 centimeter, this is 4.8 meters, and this is the angle we need. Okay, now we can convert this to meters. So if I convert this to meters, this is going to be 0.485 meters. Agreed? And this is 90 degrees. So we can simply use basically cos theta equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 0.485 and the hypotenuse is 4.8. You take cos of inverse and then this is gonna be, wait, let me use the calculator, shift cos inverse 0.485 divided by 4.8 and we get 84.2 degrees, which is about the same. Is it clear, everybody? Shown.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now the real question basically starts here. It says show that the tension in the line
Sir, I have a question before we move on.
yeah.
When it says here length of washing line when horizontal is 9.6 meters, then shouldn't we choose the dotted line, the top one?
No, because when you pull it down, the length of the washing line doesn't change, just the shape changes. Do you understand?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
that's why. Understood? That this is basically you need to understand. Now, in the next question, which is the real question that I was actually wanted to focus on, it says show that the tension in the line is less than 60 newtons. Now, let's look at the line first. So we have now tension on this side, we have tension on this side, and then we have weight on this side, right? Weight basically is the result, basically weight is the resultant vector because it is causing the tension in these two. Understood? And we also know that this angle is 84 degrees and this angle is also 84 degrees. Any questions? Now that we have basically shown through the previous part. Now we're going to draw a vector triangle. How do we draw the vector triangle? First of all, you're going to make one of the vectors. So if I draw tension here like this tension is at 84 degrees. So the other vector, this one, should be drawn this way. Don't you guys think so? And this is also 84 degrees here. Why am I doing this? Because you need to understand, Ariba, for you I just need to do it. Ariba, you need to understand that in vector triangle method, we need to do head to tail rule, which means if this is my first vector, this is the second vector, I need to connect the tail of the second vector with the head of the first one. So what I'm doing really, I'm actually picking this whole vector and I'm placing it on top of the previous vector. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so to do that, I just need to draw it exactly in the same direction, but from the head of this. So if I draw this, this is going to be T, this is also T, and this angle is also 84, so I need to remember this. Now, the next step is that this was the first point I did, this was the start, and this was the end. And I need to draw the resultant like this. Is it clear? The resultant is
Yes,
always
sir.
drawn like this. Now, this resultant is basically the total force that was acting on the line, which is basically 11 newtons, and that is the weight. So I'm going to put it like this. Now, what you're going to do is, you see, if this is 84, now do some angles, right? This is 84, so this would also be 84. How do I know this? Because this angle and this angle are the alternating angles. Clear? Everyone?
Yes.
So if I want to find this angle in the middle, how would I do that? On a line, the total angle is 180. So I'm going to subtract 84 and 84 to find the middle one. So that is going to be 180 minus 84 minus 84. This is going to be 12 degrees. Do you guys understand? This is 12 degrees. Everybody is clear about it?
Yes.
Now when I have the angle, so I can use the cosine rule. So I'm going to write r square equals to t square, both t's have the same value, that's I'm writing it, times 2 times t and t cos of 12 degrees, because that is opposite of r. Is it clear? Now r has a value of 11, so I'm going to put it, this is t square plus t square, this is minus 2t square cos of 12, right? Now 11 square is basically, I think it should be, I don't know what that is, 121, right? This will be 2t square and this will be minus 2t square cos of 12, right? Any questions? Now, if I take, you know, um, if I find the values, so this will be 2t square and that would be minus, sorry, wait a second, minus, I could do simply 2 times cos of 12, that is going to be 1.96 t square. Is it clear, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then 2 minus 1.96 will give me 0.04 t square. I just want to find t. So then t square will be equal to 121 over 0.04. So 121 divided by 0.04 is 3025, and then I'm going to take under root of 3025. So under root of 3025 is 55 newtons, which is less than 60 newtons, hence shown. And that's what we needed to do. Is it clear, everybody? So
Yes.
the point is that the questions are not going to be easy, of course, because this is A levels, but with practice you will understand that how to resolve them. And it's really basically depends on what type of questions, what type of method you're using and for what question, and that is one of the art that you will learn um, for this. If I was there, I would use the other method, that's resolution, right? But of course you don't know that yet, that's why. Okay, is it clear, everybody?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's do one more question that I wanted to do. And let's see. And some questions are so easy, like you will be like pretty amazed by how easy they are, and some are like very, very difficult. So it's all right. Now, just a second. All right, I have to write it actually. Anyway, I'll write it down. So, question, and this is the one you're going to do. It says a large boat is pulled using two tugboats horizontally. Okay. Calculate the resultant force on the large boat. And they have also given the boat. Wait. This is the large boat they have shown, and then two tugboats, small ones, and they have given this angle as 30 and this angle as 20, this force as this is also 30, this is 1150 newtons, and this is also 1150 newtons in the question. Okay, so the forces are given. Can you find the resultant force, please? So the first step is that you got to pick a vector. Okay, so you pick any of these vectors. The second step is that you have to make the other vector same as before, but it must be connected to the head of this. Should start from the head of the previous one, then make the resultant from start to end, and finally you will be able to do the resultant by cosine rule. All right, quickly do this, please.
Sir, I got the resultant force as 1150.
1150. Okay. What about Safir and Ariba? You guys got anything?
Yes, sir. Sir, I got a different answer.
Yes, what is that?
Sir, I got 130.
130.
130.
Okay. So first of all, let's say I want to pick
Right.
this force, okay? T1, and then I want to pick this force. So if I make T1 like this, right?
Yes.
This will be 1150 and this is going to be at 30 degrees. Agreed?
Right, yeah.
Then you guys, I need to draw the other vector which is 30 degrees but downwards. So it should look like this. Don't you think so? It's 1150 and it is also 30 degrees from here. Understood? Then if I just draw the resultant, I started the drawing from here and I ended the drawing from here. So start to end it would look like this. So this is the resultant. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So this would mean if this is 30, then alternating angle, this would also be 30 because this angle and this angle are alternates.
Yes.
Then what would be the angle here? That's important. So basically it's a straight line, which means 180 minus 30 should give you 120 degrees. Hana, everybody?
Yes.
So this is 120. Now I got both the sides and the resultant. So I'm going to use r square equals to 1150 square plus 1150 square minus 2 times 1150 and cos of 120 degree. So I'm going to use my calculator then. 1150 square plus 1150 square minus 2 times 1150 times 1150 multiplied by cos of 120. This becomes this, and then to find r I need to take under root of this answer, which is basically 1991 approximately equal to 2000 newtons. Is it clear, everybody? What mistake did you do? I think you guys did not draw the diagram correctly.
Yes, sir, I started doing it directly.
Yeah, that's not correct. You can't use 30. The angle is not 30. It is 120. So you got to remember that. Okay?
Yes,
So always when
Yes.
you're following this, you can write this down. I just want you to follow the steps. And the first step is always that you should make head to tail rule diagram. If you do not make head to tail rule diagram, it means your question will be wrong. You will not get the right answer. Okay? So what I want you people to do is